And that's it. Nikki Haley will be dropping out. I didn't think it was going to happen. Last night, we had a special Super Tuesday event in Martinsburg, West Virginia with the great Dave Smith. And we all watched Nikki Haley get absolutely trounced, but it's kind of funny. She won Vermont. Vermont, of course, is an open primary state. So Democrats were able to vote as Republicans, which likely explains how she was able to win in Vermont. But she's done. And the weirdest thing about this is, why did she run in the first place? We don't know. Last night, as we were watching Trump basically win every single state, which we all knew was going to happen, I was asked, and the question was asked to everybody, do you think Nikki Haley will drop out after this? And I said no, because she should have dropped out a long time ago. There's no reason for her to be in a race she can't win, but she was sticking around. Well, sure enough, first thing in the morning, Wall Street Journal has dropped this story: Nikki Haley to exit Republican presidential race. What's going on? Former South Carolina governor expected to encourage Trump to earn the support of those who backed her. This is a special live morning edition of Timcast's news. And the reason being, we're going to see if we can catch the official statement at 10. So it'd be a challenge to record a segment early that it is speculated that Nikki Haley will be dropping out, according to the Wall Street Journal, and then have her do something insane, which is a possibility, like come out at 10 a.m. and say, you know what? I'm not going anywhere for some reason. But I think the Wall Street Journal scoop is correct. Now, I want to give a shout out to Melissa Chen, who had probably the best take on the primary. This entire primary season could have been an email. Yep. I mean, it was kind of wild. When we planned our Super Tuesday event in Martinsburg, I'm like, it's going to be great. We got a physical location. We're going to sell 50 tickets. We'll bring people in. We'll hang out. We'll get, we'll get Dave Smith. He's funny. And he's not Democrat or Republican, so we'll get that outside view of the two-party system. And at the time, Vivek Ramaswamy and Ron DeSantis were still in the race. I said, this will be interesting. Trump's going to win, but, and then Vivek drops out. Okay, well, there's Ron, Nikki, and Ron drops out. And at that point, we're like, yeah, there's no Super Tuesday. Nikki Haley is a Democrat wearing a Republican tag. And the only reason she got any votes is because Democrats were voting for her. And I know. There are some registered Republicans voting for Nikki Haley, sure. I do want to give a shout out to Joe Biden. Joe Biden, of course, won everything except, do we have this right here? Jason Palmer. That's right. Joe Biden lost the American Samoa Democratic Caucus to Jason Palmer. And nobody knows who he is. In one of the best paragraphs I've ever read in politics, ABC News wrote, in a surprising yet politically inconsequential upset on Super Tuesday, U.S. President Joe Biden lost the American Samoa Democratic Caucuses to entrepreneur Jason Palmer. The funny thing is, I bet you could actually get good odds. We had this joke last night. Dave Smith opened the show on IRL by saying that he had a bet on Nikki Haley to sweep the primaries. And the joke was a $10 bet on Nikki Haley to sweep would net you billions of dollars. And Dave was like, I don't know how you wouldn't be more wealthy than Elon Musk if you bet even $10 on her to win, because the odds must be astronomical. Well, unfortunately, you just bankrupt all of those companies if you bet on her. But to be fair, hey, if you bet $10 on Nikki Haley to win a single state, you probably won $1,000 or more dollars. Like nobody saw this coming. Vermont of all places. And then especially Jason Palmer. If you bet on Biden to lose in one state, I bet you would have won a decent amount of money. The Wall Street Journal reports Nikki Haley plans to suspend her Republican presidential primary bid in a speech Wednesday morning. People familiar with her plans told the Wall Street Journal. The former South Carolina governor and United Nations ambassador is expected to make an appearance to deliver brief remarks in the Charleston, South Carolina area around 10 a.m. Eastern. Her decision arrived the day after Super Tuesday, when she won only Vermont among 15 states that held GOP contests. Haley won't announce an endorsement Wednesday, the People said. She will encourage Donald Trump, who is close to having the delegates needed to win the GOP nomination, to earn the support of Republican and independent voters who backed her. I'm gonna pause you right there, Nikki. Yeah, you were supported by Democrats. Okay, I know there are some Republicans and independent voters who backed her, but all she's really saying is, of the 15% that I was able to get in some of these places, 5% of them are independent voters and Republicans, and you can win them, Trump. And I mean, sure, Trump should get as many votes as he can get. But come on, we know Democrats are supporting Nikki Haley. So she should be having her speech any moment now. I'm not actually going to play it. I just went live today to get the confirmation of her dropping out of the race. Donald Trump has absolutely obliterated Nikki Haley. And so I'm going to be I'll be checking the news feeds, waiting for her to give her concession speech officially. For the time being, it is just being reported in the Wall Street Journal that it is officially over. And we do have some interesting updates pertaining to what's going on. The Wall Street Journal then adds some patter to their article, which is unnecessary, saying that she was the first major candidate to challenge Trump, blah, blah, blah. Ron DeSantis, was a major candidate to challenge Trump. Nikki Haley was nothing. Nikki Haley got Democrat votes. Ron DeSantis actually got Republican votes. Not everybody's a fan of the never Trumpers, but these people are Republicans at the very least. Her campaign on Monday referenced Margaret Thatcher, the former British prime minister known as the Iron Lady, who is the role model for... Oh, wow. Congratulations. It's a role model. As she exits the race, it is hard to know whether Haley is part of the party's future or a last gasp of more traditional republicanism that favors a hawkish foreign policy, fiscal discipline, and limited government. Some dude, I don't even know what it is. He tweeted that Nikki Haley begged the Republican Party for normalcy. Let's return to normal. Don't vote for Donald Trump. It's chaos. And I'm like, normal to these people is an open border, foreign wars, every president launching numerous wars, massive national debt, a failing economy, a loss of jobs in this country. That's normal. Yeah, screw that. Trump 2024. I'm not interested. I do want to give a shout out, though. Vermont, of course, being an open primary state, Nikki Haley still won there. So shout out to all the Democrats, because I got to tell you, Democrats have the conviction the Republicans do not have. I'm sorry. It's a reality. Democrats are willing to burn down buildings, screaming and whinging endlessly, and Republicans aren't willing to do it. Now, look, I'm not saying Republicans should be as violent as Democrats are. Certainly they should not be. But I just mean, we talk about it all the time in terms of what Democrats are willing to do to win. They're willing to vote Republican to win. Now, to be fair, I've seen some write-in ballots for Donald Trump, people who were voting in the Democrat primary, wrote in Donald Trump in the Democrat primary. Sure, I guess. I suppose the real strategy that Democrats are having is to sabotage and destroy the electoral process. Seems to be the case. I mean, let's talk about it. Sanctuary states, so that there are false members of Congress. That's right. A member of Congress who only exists because the state has a large amount of illegal immigrants. Thus, they get an extra congressional seat and electoral college vote. That is subverting our democracy. Then you have, of course, attempts at the local level to actually get illegal immigrants to vote. But we have this. Now, many people have told me that I think Rush Limbaugh suggested people vote in the Democrat primary to sabotage the Democrats. And I'm like, that's terrible. I reject that. The ends don't justify the means. I will say, despite all their insanity and amoral crackpottery, I believe we're winning. And who is we? People who care about this country and believe in America. But more importantly, it can be simply broken down as the constitutional Republicanists. What does that mean? I'm not talking about a Republican Party, although it does kind of overlap these days, which is kind of funny. Democrat, Republican. I'm talking about people who believe in the constitutional republic that is the United States of America. You then have the multicultural democracy people who believe in burning this country to the ground by any means necessary. And unfortunately, there are many people in this country who don't understand the language of the left. There will be a normie sitting on his couch, and he'll hear someone on MSNBC say, this is so dangerous to our democracy. And that person says, wow, our democracy, not realizing they ain't talking about you because you're not in the cult. They're talking, when they say our democracy, they're talking about the cult. It's that simple. They mask what they're doing. While we wait for the official statement, which I'm assuming is, I don't know, here we go. We're still waiting on it. News outlets now are running their live coverage saying we're waiting for Nikki Haley to give her speech. Here we go. We have the official report from NBC News. Nikki Haley confirms the time has now come to suspend my campaign, and I have no regrets. Let's see if I can get that video up. Let's see if we can get... So we got the official report. It is in. NBC News confirming Nikki Haley has officially suspended her campaign. I don't think anybody has the video up yet, though. Just the quote as it just happened. So we don't have the official video yet. But we'll get that up in just a second. What is this? Nikki has officially suspended. Kayleigh McEnany reports. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if we can get the clip. I'll wait a second. We'll come back and grab the clip of Nikki Haley bowing out. In the meantime, we can certainly talk about the results from yesterday and what this means. We have this from Chad Gilmartin. MSDNC panel mocks the fact immigration is a top issue for voters across the country. This one does not surprise me at all. But as someone who actually lives in the D.C. metropolitan, sort of, you know, it's really funny. I tell people I live in the D.C. metro, and they're like, no, you don't. You're in West Virginia. And I'm like, the eastern panhandle of West Virginia is like 50 minutes to an hour from D.C. It's really close. I mean, with traffic, it can get a bit heavy. But if you're driving at like 2 a.m, okay, it's what, like 40 something miles. The funny thing is there are people who tell me that's not DC Metro still. And I'm like, yeah, it is, because the people who work in DC live here. It's the metropolitan area. And the funny thing is in Chicago, there are Chicago suburbs that are like an hour west of Chicago, and people commute to work every day. That's Metro. So it's just whatever, man. But I live here. Okay. So when MSNBS comes out and says, why immigration? I'm like, do you see what's going on? It's affecting everybody. So let me play this clip for you. I do want to try and see if I can catch this. You got a lot of articles about Nikki Haley bowing out, but not yet her official the video from her campaign. I guess because she's still talking live, no one's posting the clip, but we'll come to that. I want to play this clip for you from MSNBS, and I hope you enjoy it. But then we'll talk about immigration. This is the biggest issue for people in Virginia.
I mean, if you look at some of these exit polls, I mean, I live in Virginia. Immigration was the #1 issue. Yes. I mean, again, these could change in Virginia.
Well, Virginia does have a border with West Virginia. Very, very contested area.
Build the wall. Like, what? I mean, if you look at some...
Shocked. What? I'm thinking, what? Virginia immigration? All right. I don't want to have to do this. We try to keep these shows family friendly, but the news is the news, my friends, and I feel I have no choice. From Fox News. Venezuelan illegal immigrant charged with sexual assault against 14-year-old in Virginia. You want to know why people in Virginia are so upset about this stuff? Because it's affecting everyone they know. Because it's happening everywhere. I think I have another story here. Illegal immigrant from Mexico is arrested for crashing his vehicle into a Washington state trooper while intoxicated, killing the 27-year-old cop. And he was a dad. And the fascinating thing is, they say you can't blame the illegal immigrant, the migrant they call it, the newcomer, because of drinking and driving. That's a drinking and driving problem. There's this video, I think Jack Posobiec posted it, of Geraldo arguing with Bill O'Reilly. And he says, this is not an immigration issue. It's a drunk driving issue. And I'm just like, no, it's an immigration issue. It's the stupidest thing ever. Look, drunk driving is wrong. People do it. It's bad. Guess what? If the illegal immigrant was deported, they would not have killed someone, right? How do you stop someone from drinking and driving? You pass laws. You set other kinds of restrictions on when and how you can drink. It's not so easy. Even if you're like, no one can buy any booze at night. They'll buy the booze in the morning. Let's say nobody can buy booze. They'll make it in their bathtubs like they used to in Prohibition. People will get their hands on this stuff and you will still have it. Now, certainly laws can reduce the amount of drunk driving. But I can tell you something right now. If you deport the illegal immigrant who was already arrested, if you deported them when they got arrested, then quite simply, they would not have killed a person. It's the craziest thing that the issue is not the killing of a person, but it's how they ended up killing the person. It's an issue of drunk driving. No, it isn't. It's an issue of vehicular homicide. And how do you prevent vehicular homicide? You take the dangerous people off the streets and out of the system. If there is an American citizen, constitutional rights all intact, and there's no reason to believe that they're going to commit a vehicular homicide, what can you do? They're allowed to drive. They're allowed to drink, just not at the same time. And then if they do, we say, you're going to jail for that. If you are not a citizen of this country and you are not legally supposed to be here and the law is ignored and a crime happens, yeah, that's a fault. That's an immigration issue. But of course, the well-to-do elites, I have this clip I want to play from Batya Ungar Sargon, and it is one of the most based AF clips I've seen in a long time. It is a book called White Rural Rage. Now, Batya is not a conservative. You may recognize her. For one, she's been on Timcast IRL, but also she was recently on Real Time with Bill Maher, where Bill Maher, in one of the most humiliating fashions ever, read a joke from Jack Posobiec as if it was stone cold serious when Jack said, we're here to welcome to the end of democracy. We're here to overthrow it. We didn't quite get there on January 6th, but we will endeavor. Everyone's laughing as he's saying it's clearly a joke meant to mock the liberal media. And Bill Maher took it seriously. And Batya goes, Bill, that's a joke. And then Bill's like, well, I mean, I guess that's what I was asking. I mean, don't quit your day job, Jack. Bill, Jack Posobiec's not a comedian. He's a political commentator. He's a pundit. And like many others, like yourself. And he sometimes makes jokes. You did not like the joke because you fell for it. But anyway, I digress. I want to play this clip for you. This clip from Batya coincides very, very well. It goes along with this, with immigration being one of the most important issues, and the disdain. MSNBS. Okay, it's MSNBC, but I like to call them MSNBS. I want to hear this. I want you to hear this clip from Batya.
Your book is the antidote to the book of the moment. What do you see that they've missed or are misinterpreting?
It's such a slander on this great nation. And I say that as a Jewish person. I cannot sit here and allow this kind of slander of the American people to go unopposed. This book, this is the wishful thinking of over-credentialed college elites who have turned their back on the working class and who hate America. And this is their wishful thinking as their justification. Oh, we don't have to care about the working class because they're racist. The working class in MAGA is multiracial. Guess what? Donald Trump was polling at 8% of black men. In 2020, he got 18%. He's now polling 20 to 30% of black men. You can imagine what he's going to get. The majority of Hispanics, who, by the way, the majority of that community is working class, they're also part of the MAGA movement. They're on the Trump train. This is absolute cope by a left that has abandoned labor to cater to their vanity morals and masquerade as the good guys while hating this country. First, they shipped the good-paying manufacturing jobs overseas to China and Mexico to build up their middle class. Then they opened the border and imported an entirely new slave caste to undercut service industry jobs that remained here. And they, with all of this, signal to the working class, you're nothing. You are nothing.
Watching this clip, it's an amazing clip from Steve Bannon's War Room podcast. Batya was a guest, and she just hits the nail on the head with the hammer. There are these authors, I believe it was the authors appearing on MSNBC saying that they're dangerous, they're racist. This is America. It's what America always was. Make no mistake. What these people are actually saying is the core of what made America for 200 years is being crushed. And we hate them. They say they're racist, sexist, all of these things. These working class, white working class individuals are just that. They're Americans. And I warned you about this. Now, I'm certainly no fan of racism and sexism and all of that stuff. Of course, the left exaggerates all of it. But the people that they're referring to are the descendants of those who built this country. You see, the Democrats, the left, when they say white supremacy, they're saying constitutional republicanism, the foundation of this country. When they say our democracy, they're saying multicultural, intersectional, critical Marx, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Our cult. They seek to destroy the fabric of this nation and what it was built upon and supplant it, replace it with something disgusting and cultish. And anybody who agrees with constitutional republicanism is a white supremacist. This is why they said Larry Elder was the black face of white supremacy. White supremacy is their code word for constitutional America. Now, I got the clip. Disclose.tv has published it. Let's roll it for you guys. Nikki Haley quitting.
In all likelihood, Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee when our party convention meets in July. I congratulate him and wish him well. I wish anyone well who would be America's president. Our country is too precious to let our differences divide us. I have always been a conservative Republican and always supported the Republican nominee. But on this question, as she did on so many others, Margaret Thatcher provided some good advice when she said, quote, "Never just follow the crowd. Always make up your own mind." It is now up to Donald Trump to earn the votes of those in our party and beyond it who did not support him. And I hope he does that. At its best, politics is about bringing people into your cause, not turning them away. And our conservative cause badly needs more people. This is now his time for choosing. I end my campaign with the same words I began it, from the book of Joshua. I direct them to all Americans, but especially to so many of the women and girls out there who put their faith in our campaign. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for God will be with you wherever you go. In this campaign, I have seen our country's greatness. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, America. God bless you.
What was her plan? I really don't get it. I was asked last night, as I stated, is she going to drop out? I said no, because her plan is clearly that Trump goes to prison and then she sits there and goes, yay, it's me now. That could still happen. You know, Vivek Ramaswamy said he didn't want to drop out of the race in the event that Trump gets stopped in some way. Nikki Haley be the only one left standing. But the reality is you can always unsuspend your campaign like Marianne Williamson did. So perhaps that's the plan. She's going to wait for Trump to get knocked out and then come back and be like, I'm still here. It'll be wild. I wonder what'll happen with the conventions. Our plan here at Timcast is to be live from the RNC, and not in the building, but in the city with all the various personalities who will be there all week, and then do a small live show with a small live audience. But we ain't going anywhere near the DNC. I got asked, like, do you want to do the DNC as well? And I was like, no, because it'll be in Chicago and I don't want to get shot. Having grown up in Chicago, the risk of getting shot is quite great. Add in the Democratic National Convention with all the far left extremists, and the chance of getting shot is probably 1. Yeah, 1. It will happen. For those that know odds. We do have a couple more things that I do want to go over. I think it's important to point out, since January, immigration has been the top concern for American voters. For these elites at MSNBC and these other platforms not to recognize that, I find it quite hilarious, especially considering Joe Biden is now taking the position that, well, he's been trying to secure the border the whole time. It's the Republicans who have stopped the bipartisan border bill, the bipartisan fund Ukraine war bill with amnesty attached to it. But that's all they got to do. Biden comes out and says, we had this thing prepared and Republicans shot it down. And the cultists don't fact check. They turn on their MSNBC, drool onto their laps as they sit there staring at the idiot box, and they believe all the garbled nonsense. It's unfortunate, my friends. But where we currently are is the rematch is on. Joe Biden v. Donald Trump. Got several polls that are coming out right now. I think I got one here from Interactive Polls. YouGov and The Economist. Trump is up 2 points. In the generic ballot, the Republicans are up 2 points. And this is from February 24th to the 27th. So it will be really interesting. If we jump over to the 538 aggregate, we've got polling from Morning Consult that claims Joe Biden is up 1 point. I will not be surprised, my friends, if what we start to see is polls shift towards Biden. I know a lot of people are going to say that's impossible, Tim. Everybody hates Biden. Yes, that may be. But the pollsters, now that Nikki Haley's out of the race, will start saying, well, you know, my friends, it's really easy to manipulate people in polling. And I had this tweet where I said, I propose a new law Members of Congress can no longer personally trade stocks or provide information to third parties for the purpose of advantaging them in the trading of stocks. Would you support this law? See Addendum A for further details. I then added a tweet saying, Addendum A, this bill also bans cilantro. And what happened was 95% said, yes, I support the law. I then screenshotted it and tweeted, breaking, 95% of people want to ban cilantro. You see the game? It was an example of how the bills contain, they manipulate you. Hey, here's good thing and bad thing. Although I don't like cilantro, I wouldn't want to ban it, so it is a bad thing. And then the press selectively reports it. So when you want to get a poll result, I would not be surprised if now that Trump is the official nominee, I mean, it's not like the RNC's coming up, but come on. We knew he was from the get-go. Don't be surprised if the pollsters start playing silly games. Instead of saying something like, who are you planning to vote for, Joe Biden or Donald Trump? Don't be surprised if they say things like, in the 2024 cycle, who do you think not did yes a good job? And then you're like, wait, huh? I don't understand that question. Okay, who do you think did not do a good job or would yes? My point is, they'll ask you questions that are confusing to people to induce an incorrect answer. Not so egregious, but one poll said, who do you think will shake up? Here, I love this one. Who do you think is more likely to shake up the economy in this country? Joe Biden or Donald Trump? And then what happens is, this question is meaningless. What does it mean to shake up the economy? Does it mean to break it? Does it mean to fix it and make it change? Well, let's say you get 2-1, Biden to Trump. You can then say, shake up is negative. And you can then say, when asked, based on the economy, 2-1, people preferred Joe Biden. Now, hold on. The question didn't really make sense. It wasn't positive, but this is the game they play. Now, I don't know for sure. I don't want to just come out and say absolutely that they're going to play those dirty games. But as we can see right now, Morning Consult has Biden up 1. We've got CBS News with Trump up 4. Tip Insights showing when Kennedy is in the race, West and Stein, it's tied between Trump and Biden. But when it's just Biden and Trump, Biden is up by 1 point. Morning Consult has Trump up. And to be honest, Republicans are trouncing. Like when they include Nikki Haley versus Biden, even she beats Joe Biden. So all of the polls we have right now as of the past couple of weeks show that Donald Trump is absolutely destroying Joe Biden. But the latest, it's starting to shift a little bit. So we'll see in that regard. It's going to be a wild election cycle, my friends. I'll jump over to a couple of the super chats as we wrap up this special live session, take some questions. But of course, I decided to go live this morning as we had major breaking news with Nikki Haley's announcement that she is quitting. So we'll just grab maybe a couple of them, see if there's any questions or statements. Here's one. Here we go. Con O says we need to create a better voting system and take the government out of it. Cardano, I see what it is, has that infrastructure. We can vote on chain and people can audit the votes. No more behind closed doors rigged system. Interesting. I actually bought, full disclosure, the only crypto I have is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano. Nope, that's not true. I have Dogecoin. And I bought Cardano a long time ago. And I think it's because, I don't know a lot about it, but it was one of the co-founders of Ethereum. So I said, sure, I'll buy it. And I just forgot about it. So don't know much about it. No financial advice. Stephen A says, Haley won 1 state. Biden lost 1 state. And the guy who composed the music for the Halo video games is running for Congress. This is one weird week. Weird week? It's been a weird 8 years, my dude. It's just been absolutely wild for the past 8 years. All right, we'll grab one more. High Q says, I have a question that no one's asking. When Trump wins, and he will win, what happens if the Senate refuses to acknowledge it? This is a great question. I think Keith Olbermann was saying something like that. The dude's clearly out of his mind. But the argument now being put forward because of the Supreme Court ruling is that Democrats will try to win the Senate and try to win Congress, Senate and the House, and then reject the Electoral College votes. The funny thing is, They've done it every single time. Every time. Then when Trump's people do it, they're like, it's an insurrection because they're lying to you. The working class people of this country, the descendants of the founding fathers and the people who made this country, are being called white supremacists. They're being called evil, and they're being called insurrectionists. There is an occupying force in this country that is seeping its way through and destroying the fabric of this nation and trying to weed out the inheritors of this great nation. I believe we are winning, but they are still powerful. Come 2024, I think it's fair to say Democrats will not accept the results of the election if Trump wins. And it will be funny because what they'll do is they'll say, but Trump did it in 2020, so therefore we're allowed to, even though they're the ones who've consistently done it every single time they've lost. I'm going to wrap it up there, my friends. Thanks for joining me on this special live morning edition of Timcast News. The next segment will be coming up at 1 p.m., of course, as per the traditional schedule. This is it. The rematch is on. Donald Trump v. Joe Biden, 2024. But things could change because Joe Biden, he might not make it. Trump could go to prison. Who knows? I'll leave it there. Thanks so much for hanging out, and I will see you all at 1 p.m. You can become a member at timcast.com. Click Join Us and pick up your Cast Brew coffee if you haven't already. We'll see you on the next segment later today.